Welcome to the Business Boom Podcast, powered by Boomtag Media. Each week, we are sitting down with growth-obsessed, dynamic entrepreneurs, marketing experts, and business owners who have cracked the code to explosive growth. I'm your host, Kendra Noel. Let's take things to the next level and spark your business into its boom era. Hi, welcome to the Brand Blast Off episode with Out There Branding. I'm so excited to have Roy on the show today to talk about promotional products and how we can use those to grow our businesses. Roy, I would like to give you the opportunity to just introduce yourself.
My apologies. I was just trying to get the LinkedIn Live going at the same time, but the sound was on. Yeah, so my name is Roy Kowarski. I'm based in Sydney, Australia. I know that's a long way from the US and Canada, but isn't that the magic of LinkedIn, is that we can be having these conversations from different parts of the world, and we can be assisting each other on our business and LinkedIn journeys. So I call myself the promotional product disruptor. And the reason that I do that is because I have seen with so many companies, I work with Fortune 500 companies and small and medium-sized businesses. And I've seen with so many of the companies that are in business today, that all they're doing is they're swimming in a sea of sameness. Nobody stands out, and they're quite happy just to plod along. Well, I will be the person to prod them. That's why I call myself a disruptor. I will be the person to say, have you thought about this? Have you thought about that? And that's why I have referral business, because people will tell people, that guy, he awakened a whole lot of things that we hadn't thought about before. So that's what I do, is I help small to medium-sized businesses as well as Fortune 500 companies with their branding and marketing. And of recent, in the last 6 to 8 months, I'm spending more time assisting companies preparing for trade shows, and I do this around the world. You don't have to be in a country to help someone prepare for a trade show. And if I can maybe just finish off by saying that so many companies that I see go and purchase a stand, they go and spend 7.5 or 5 or 10 grand on a stand, and then they don't know where to start. And I have a particular trade show preparation process that walks you through every aspect of what you should be doing, how you should be doing, and why you should be doing it. One key element that comes out of everything that I do is, what is my return on investment going to be? That's what I focus on. Do things without getting a return. And if you focus on that, which means you're focusing on the end result rather than the process and the beginning.
Mm-hmm. That makes perfect sense to start there with the kind of return you're going to get. I can see people are joining in the chat and they're truly excited that you are the guest today, Roy. So I just want to tell everyone who is joining us live, if you have questions for Roy, this episode would be a really great time to drop those in the chat so that you're able to get some of your questions answered. And Roy, I really like what you said about working with businesses to stand out. I do that too. I do that in the digital marketing space. So I feel like this is just like a really good pairing between Boomtag Media and Out There Branding to be doing an episode together. So I'm so excited that it worked out and we can make the time zone difference work, because that was kind of a challenge in scheduling the episode. So thank you for joining so early in the morning there.
Well, if I can say it, it's not even that early in the morning, because I've already been on a session for an hour already. So my start on Wednesdays is a 6 a.m. start. So which means I've got to be at my office before 6 o'clock so that I can be on the call. So I'm really looking forward to this. My association with you, Kendra, has only been good. You are a highly inspirational person, and you know what everything about these kind of podcasts is how can we support each other. And
Hmm.
when I say support each other, it's not about like what can I give you, but what can we do to help each other. And strangely enough, I spoke at this last session about the terminology mutually beneficial. Now, I'm
Yes.
going to say this for what it's worth. Um, every year, I have a couple of keywords that I use for the year. Sometimes it's one, sometimes it's two, sometimes it's three. At the beginning of this year, excuse me, I chose the word collaboration, and so I've dived into that. My monthly newsletter every month has got something to do with collaboration, um, and the word mutually beneficial comes right in front of collaboration. And I'm just going to share this because I think you'll know where I'm coming from, and you'd love to get your view on it.
Yeah,
And that is
absolutely.
and that is so many people think mutually beneficial is the following. I have got this amazing app or this amazing product or this amazing service that will help your business, and it'll be mutually beneficial. Rubbish. That's not mutually beneficial. Mutually beneficial is I can help you in your business, Kendra, and you can help me in my business. And between us, we can both walk away with something that we've benefited from. That for me is mutually beneficial.
Yeah. Yeah, I like the way that you say that, and I think that you definitely do that too. You're always promoting other people with your platform. I mean, you have a large following, but you're not always just talking about yourself. You leave tags to follow this person. I love it when you leave a list of people to follow because I think that that's such a great way to use a platform when you're well known to help other people get known as well. And what you said about LinkedIn and meeting people from around the world and like how we can collaborate with people from around the world. Whereas without a social media platform like that, we would have never known each other or known anything about each other's brands or what we do in business. So I totally agree with that. It looks like we already have a question coming in. Can I hit you up with this?
Absolutely. I don't see it, so if you can maybe just share it with me.
Yeah, David says first step in recommending promotion, product campaign, and the key elements.
Okay, well, that's a very good entree into this conversation. So I'm going to start off by saying um, that through my LinkedIn association, I'm always looking to meet and connect with like-minded people. So in the last week, within the last week, um, I I had this connection that I saw someone that had looked at my profile and saw some of my content and engaged on it, is an event organizer. So I reached out to her. I sent her a DM, a request, and I put a message to it. She accepted it. I sent her a video message to just let her know who I am. And yesterday we had a conversation. And she's an event organizer, and I'm a promotional product and exhibition product supplier. So
Hmm.
there's a huge amount of crossover. Now, why am I telling you the story? Because when I told her about merch and about promotion, when this is going to be the answer to David, she said to me, "I've been in the industry for 25 years, and nobody has ever showed and highlighted the difference between merch." Now, here's where the answer is for David: is most promotional product companies have a website with a gazillion images, and what they do is they say, "Have a look at my website and see what you like." So ABC company goes onto the website, and they have a team of people, and they have a look, and oh, I like that. That looks really good. And somebody says, "Oh no, actually I like this." And so they choose merch based on what they like. Big mistake. Merch should be chosen for achieving outcomes.
Hmm.
So in other words, a promotional piece of merch should have intentions behind it. And that's where my point of difference is uh, I have different categories of merch. So I have what we call a brand awareness merch. So what will brand awareness merch do? It will bring awareness to your brand. It's not going to bring you sales. It's not something you give, to people that are spending millions of dollars or thousands of dollars with you. Brand awareness is about bringing awareness to your brand. The next category, and the reason that I'm sharing these categories is the answer to David's question is that you need to know which category you're going to use. So brand awareness is the first one. The second one is pre-qualification. So when you've pre-qualified somebody for a further conversation, that's a different piece of merch to somebody you're giving brand awareness merch to. The third category is door opening merch. What are you going to use to open doors to new conversation, which is different to a pre-qualification and brand awareness? And the fourth category is appreciation. Why would you give somebody a cheap brand awareness gift when somebody has spent fortunes with you? You'd rather give them something more valuable. So the answer to the question is you've got to work out who you want to serve and who is going to get the merch. So if somebody's on an exhibition, as an example, on the table will be brand awareness merch, because people that are merch collectors will walk past and pick up a piece of the merch and put it in their bag. They don't even know what you're doing, and they actually don't care what you're doing. Now, what happens? Somebody comes onto your stand, or this is in any set of circumstances. Someone comes onto your stand, and you can pre-qualify them for a further conversation. Now, what you do is you go under the table and you bring out the more valuable piece of merch to give to them. That's the difference. Is what do you want to achieve with the merch?
That is a sneaky trick, Roy. But I like it. I like that a lot, actually, because there are so many people walking around shows and events who do not actually stop to take the time and see what that business does. They're just grabbing the freebies and getting as many freebies as possible. So I really like that idea. That I'm sure that helps businesses stand out first in a great way. So what kind of with like good stuff would you save for a under the table type promotional product?
Okay, so let's talk this through. So so the first part is a brand awareness merch should align with your business. So it should be something that speaks about what your business is. But what it needs to achieve somebody that is going to use it, that's going to like it, and it's going to remember you. But
Hmm.
when a lot of companies make mistakes is they can't get their head around that you're giving something out purely to get brand awareness. So the minute you can understand that I'm giving this piece of merch out so that my brand can get out and people can become aware of it, that's when it becomes easy to understand. Now, what happens is you have somebody. So let's assume that this is a little. I'm just actually busy fiddling it while I'm talking to you. This is a little brand awareness little piece of merch. It's what is called a tangle. It's something that you fidget and fiddle with while you're talking. Now, here's some of the things I want to share with you. Can you see it's got three colors to it? These are my corporate colors. Here's my logo, red, black,
Yep.
and white. So these are all my corporate colors. And guess what? My logo is in 5 different spots on it. So this idea is that somebody will go and pick this up and start fiddling with it. And each time they're fiddling with it, guess what they're fiddling with? My
Your
brand.
brand. Yep.
So that's what they're doing. They're moving this around and they're fiddling with my brand. Now what happens is somebody comes onto a stand or wherever you might be, and you see, hold on a sec, here's an opportunity for a further conversation. So now what I'll do is I'll go under the table or wherever I might be, and I'll bring out, let's call it, say, a multi cable. that somebody can use on their desk. They can use it home. They can use it in the office. And a multi-cable is something that has got multi-cables. So this is a useful thing because people all need tech items. Doesn't make a difference who you are. Doesn't make a difference how advanced and how, technically challenged you are. People use multiple tech products on a daily basis, regular basis. So
Mhm.
that would be the next thing. And then the appreciation would be something more expensive. For instance, a Bluetooth speaker and a wireless charger for a phone. So this merch over here, let's call it $3 or $4, $5. Okay, I don't mind giving out hundreds of these because this gets my brand seen by other people. The next category, as I've spoken about, is the pre-qualification. That goes from $5 to maybe $10 or $12. And the appreciation goes something in the vicinity of $30 to $40. But you don't have to be guided by it has to be that price. You can be guided by what's your budget, and then you work back. My brand awareness, I don't want to spend more than $2. I don't want to spend more than $3. My pre-qualification, I don't want to spend more than $10. I don't want to spend more, whatever it might be. There are products that fit every single price category. Um, and the third one is the appreciation. You can determine how much you want to spend on a customer that's spending lots of money with you. So that's the key element. Number one, choosing the right product, and number two, keeping within a budget that works for you and your business.
Mhm. Yeah. Um, I, sorry, Merrill says that he's appreciative of you giving a master class on promotional merch and trade shows. Um, let's talk about standing out at the trade shows as far as the booth goes. Not just the products you have on the table, but the booth itself, because you've got to get people to walk up to you first, right? So how do you catch that attention?
Well, this is I'm such a this is my area of expertise and knowledge and experience. So the most important thing is to make sure that whatever you're going to use as collateral on your stand, I'm talking about banners in whatever kind of format it is clear as to what you do. It's got to be creative enough to be eye catching. But probably the single biggest mistake that people make is they put too much on their stand. So my simple philosophy is less and more impactful is far more valuable than clutter. Too much. People don't remember anything when there's too much. When there's a couple of simple messages, they remember that. So that would be my answer is that rather find innovative, creative, impactful things and have less on your stand that have got clear messages rather than trying to fill it with all sorts of things.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. I have never been to a trade show with my business before, but I might be going to a conference soon. So I'd love to get your thoughts on how, when you're traveling for a conference and you don't have a large team. So if I were to go to this conference, it would probably just be me. I'd have to fly. What do you think would be the most kind of important things for me to take?
Right. So let me ask this question first. Are you going as an exhibitor or as a visitor?
An exhibitor.
All right. Okay. So what I would do is if I'm going as an exhibitor and it's going to be a across state wise, whatever it might be. The first thing to do is ask yourself, um, you know, can I take some stuff with me? Because if you can't put anything on the stand, don't waste your time. And I'll tell you why. Because people don't come to a stand that offers them nothing.
Mm.
So rather ask yourself, if I'm going to go to this event, am I going to be properly prepared? And if I can't be properly prepared, then it's a waste of my money. And what that does is it comes back to, I'm going to spend money on getting the stand, and then I'm just going to go along and wing it. No, that's a mistake. So here's what I would do. I would make sure. So let me just go one step back.
Okay.
I went to an event about 6 weeks ago. I was doing all the collateral for this particular company, and they had 20 suppliers that all exhibited. And what I did was I walked around and looked at what they offered. Of the 20 that were exhibiting, 18 of them had cheap plastic pens that they gave out.
Mm-hmm.
Now, my question is this: in 20 different companies, if 18 of them are giving the same cheap stuff out, why would you stop on their stand?
Yeah, that's a
So,
really good point. Yeah, that's not going to
so
help stand out very much at
correct.
all.
So if I was giving advice to someone like what you've just asked me now,
Mm-hmm.
I would make sure that I get myself a decent banner that's got a really clear message on. I would have a table with a tablecloth, either branded or unbranded, doesn't have to be branded. And then I would have some merch to hand out, which I would call brand awareness. And
Mm-hmm.
then I would have one other category of merch, which is pre-qualification. So I might get 100 of these. I'm just using this as a stupid example. I might get 100 of these, and then I might get. I'm just having a look around here. Whatever it might be, I might get 10 or 15 of this. So these are here people can collect as they go along. I don't mind. But when I can hear that somebody pre-qualifies for a further conversation, I
Mm-hmm.
would take out the other. So I would do I would do three things. I would take along some brand awareness merch. I would take along some pre-qualification merch, much less quantity. I would make sure that the banner is vibrant, that it's clear as what. And here I'm going to give you the magic of attracting people to your stand, which is
Awesome.
very inexpensive. Have a competition on your stand. Get people engaged. Get people to want to come to your stand. So,
Mm-hmm.
what you could do, you could have a jar with a whole lot of jelly beans in, or whatever, and say, guess the amount of jelly beans. Or you could have a Jenga blocks that people can come and fiddle and play with. Or you could have a putting competition. But what a competition does, or you can have a spinning wheel.
Yeah.
So these are not expensive things, and they're not difficult to take. But here's what they do: they get people onto your stand to have some fun.
Yes.
And when people are having fun, their resistance is low. And when people's resistance is low, they're open to a conversation. And isn't that what we want to achieve?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really like those thoughts for sure. Getting something that's interactive. It kind of goes along with the question that Americo put in the chat. He said, should we be collecting emails in exchange for merch? Maybe as part of the competition, or like I've seen people do like a drawing basket, like enter to win this basket, but they have to fill out their name and their email address. What do you think as far as collecting email addresses at a booth like that?
I think there's a very simple answer to that. If you can get somebody onto your stand to have some fun, they're happy to share their details. If you're purely saying, "Does this, give me that,"
Mm-hmm.
no, that's not going to work. That's not going to go down. That's why I say that the probably one of the most underutilized engagement aspects of any trade show is to have some sort of competition that gets people smiling and having fun. So I'm not one of those that subscribe to, here's a piece of merch, I want your email address.
Mm-hmm.
I want people to come onto my stand, and I'm going to be going to an exhibition. I've got two exhibitions coming up. I want people to come on my stand and start having fun and laughing and joking, and we can talk. And then all of a sudden, I say, well, would you be open to a further conversation? That's the time to get them their to get their addresses.
Yeah.
Or most of these events have name tags with barcodes on, which takes you to their contact details. Um, probably probably so many people think to themselves, I don't want to invest in hiring a scanner because it costs whatever it costs. It's too expensive. Guess what? That's the easiest way to get email addresses and contacts is just to scan and take your scanning gun and just scan against their because everyone that comes to an exhibition has to sign in. There's nobody that will go to any exhibition or conference or any trade show that doesn't need to give the details to the organizers. I promise you, in my experience across the world, nobody can just show up and say, I'm coming to visit you without giving the details. Doesn't happen. So I think you've got to have a plan. You've got to have a plan about how you're going to get people, because that's what we're after. Please don't get me wrong. This is a simple process. We all go to these events, not because we like to go to these events. We go to these events because we're looking for more business. Simple, straightforward. So we want more types of people that we can start to do business with. So think about how can you get those people to want to give you your contact details? And the single thing that shines through is when people are talking in a most comfortable way on your stand, that's the time they'll give you your contact details.
Yeah. Yeah, to be honest, I thought you were going to say, when do you want to know the trick to get people to come up to your booth? I thought you were going to say is to be there and to be smiling. Because when I was a vendor I was selling merchandise, I was at, like not trade shows, but like pop-up vendor events. And I would see all these vendors selling their stuff, but they would just be sitting there on their phone. They weren't looking at people. They weren't welcoming the people who were passing by. They were just sitting there and they were hoping that someone was going to stop and look at their stuff. So I thought that you were going to say, like, being engaging, smiling at the people who walk by is the number one way to get people to stop and come to your booth. I think it's probably a really good combination if you're there and you're smiling and you're an engaging person and you welcome them to come and check out the fun things that are happening at your booth. I think that is going to get you a lot more attention than someone who's sitting there just hoping that the passersby stop.
Well, if I can maybe just amplify that, I think the one thing that you have to do if you're going to exhibit on a trade show, on an exhibition, on a conference, is you've got to show up with a smile.
Yes.
That's a given.
Yeah.
So I don't even put that into the conversation because that's a given. How many times have you not walked past the trade somebody's stand and there they are sitting on their computer fiddling and they don't even notice you walking past?
Mm-hmm.
So your appearance, make sure that you are well dressed, that you're well groomed, that you've got your company logo sitting on your garment or a name tag. Those are givens, but these are important aspects. But the single most important way to get people to come to your stand is for them to want to see something that's going to be of engagement and fun for them. And that's why this aspect of competitions, and there's multiple choices. It's not one or two. I promise you, if you go and spend a bit of time, I've made a list of maybe 50 to 60 different things that one can do. And they can be very cheap things. But the important thing, and I'm going to say it again, is what you want to achieve. You want somebody to come onto your stand and you want them to be having a little bit of fun. Because when somebody has fun, their resistance is low. And when someone's resistance is low, they're open to a conversation.
Yeah.
Imagine walking up, somebody's walking down the aisle in front of your stand. You go up and you stand in front of them and you say, I wonder if you come onto my stand because I want to talk to you about this product. How would you feel about that? We all know the answer to that. But If somebody's walking past and there are 5 people on the putting competition and they see people laughing and joking, guess what happens? People are attracted to other people having fun.
Mhm. That totally makes sense. Okay, Meryl has dropped in the chat and asked me to ask you about the power of your Spuds banners.
Okay, well, he's a very good ambassador for me.
For many of us, that's true.
Yeah, very much so. So some of the products that I do are these particular, I call them Spuds banners, and they basically are they're broken down into a stretch pop-up display stand, which stands for Spuds. And what it is, it's an interlocking pole system that has got a fabric print that fits over it, and they come in different sizes. So you could have, and I do this around the world, by the way. So it's not like, you have to be in Australia or you have to be in the US or Canada, or wherever it might be. I do these banners, I send them around the world. But what it does, it's a professional look. It's double-sided, so you can have 2 different messages. You can replace the fabric prints with different messages for different occasions. But the most important thing, it creates a professional image. And that's what we want to be able to do. So I would suggest that if somebody's going onto a stand, to get a very basic banner that is professional, that looks decent. Pull-up banners, those days are gone. I've been to multiple events where I see people turn up with a pull-up banner that's got little bit of a tear here, or it's a little bit of an angle, and they've got some cheap plastic pens, and they can't understand why nobody comes to their stand and come to their stand.
Mhm.
Because when you are swimming in a sea of sameness, you are not noticed.
Yeah. So, what do you think about traveling with a Spuds banner? Is that something you can take through the airport?
Absolutely. It fits into a carry canvas bag. It weighs about maybe 3 to 4 kgs. So it's really, it's a very easy thing to transport. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, we had some other people saying thank you for asking that question about traveling. So I thought that that would be a good thing just to clarify whether that works well for traveling. So at the end, we're going to give everybody a chance to get Roy's contact information. If you are traveling and you need something for your booth, we'll let you know how you can get a hold of Roy. Um, I think that
So
this question is interesting.
maybe
Go.
if I can maybe just amplify one thing, because I think it's a very,
Yeah.
it's an extremely good question. So if I was traveling from, I'm just using an example, from Arizona uh, to Los Angeles, I don't know, wherever. In other words, it's a vast travel. How I would approach it, I would say to myself, I'm going to have this banner, and I'm just using the Spuds banner for this conversation. Okay. So I've got the Spuds banner. It's in a black canvas it's in a black canvas bag. It's weighing about 3 to 4 kgs. I'm going to get some merch, and I'm going to find the merch that is lightweight. Lots of merch is lightweight. I mean, this over here, 100 of these won't weigh more than 2 or 3 kgs. I'm going to get some lightweight merch for
Okay.
brand awareness,
Hmm.
and I'm going to get a couple of items, maybe 10 or 12, 15 items that's a little bit more expensive. That also is, and I would try and keep it for maybe 5 to 6 kgs, and I'll put it all in the black bag, and that's what I would carry. Goes into the plane, on the hold, or on the place above you where you're sitting. That's an easy way to have a banner and to have merch. And you can also incorporate your game into that. So it can all fit into that one single bag, and that's all you carry on. So I hope that
Yeah,
makes sense.
I'm thinking a Jenga tower would fit along
There we go.
perfectly with that. I liked that example because when you said it and we were thinking about traveling, I was like, yeah, throwing a Jenga tower in a travel bag is really no problem.
So, I mean, imagine turning up on the stand and you got these little branded Jenga blocks.
Oh,
And you
you
say
have
to
one so you
people,
can put your brand on.
absolutely, it's
I
got to have
thought
your
you meant
brand
just
on
a
it.
normal Jenga
No,
game.
no, 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 no.
That's perfect. I like that spin on that. Okay, there's a really good question from Americo. He's asking about a live streaming from a trade show. Do you think it's a good idea to use that opportunity while you're at the trade show to live stream to engage with people who cannot come to the trade show physically?
The answer to that is that there's never, ever a bad time to engage with people. But here's the key element. Are you on the trade show on your own, or have you got help?
Mm-hmm.
If you're on your own, you got to be very, very, very smart, and I think America probably is. But you got to be really smart, because what you don't want to be doing is spending a whole lot of time live streaming and missing the people that are walking around and that you could be physically engaging with. So the answer to that for me is I will never go to a trade show on my own. I'll always have someone coming to help me. And if I've got someone coming to help me, I will either let them do the live streaming, which is brilliant, or I will do it and I'll have that person engaging with people coming past. So the combination of the two is good, but
Yeah.
don't try and do one over the other as a single person on the stand.
Yeah, I could see that being a huge mess. Trying to do that, engage with people, whether you're going live from your phone or a laptop, and then having people walking up, you definitely want to have some help. I would agree with that. Okay, Michael says brand connection through human engagement, make it fun and interesting.
So Michael Field is my co-host on my business podcast that we do every second Wednesday. We're doing it today actually, and we talk about this on a regular basis. Is what do we want to achieve if we're going to a trade show? Is we want engagement with new people. That's what we want. And what does engagement with new people look like? It looks like new business opportunities. That's it,
Mhm.
over and out. Nobody goes to a trade show not to try and find new business. Please find me one person that goes to a trade show that's not looking to expand their business in some way.
Yeah, yes. And I had this question for you. I prepped ahead of time. It kind of goes along with this. So maybe we could dive into this a little bit, but let's talk about building meaningful relationships and putting people first, because I know that's something that's big for you.
Well, very much so. So the thing that so many people miss in relationship building is it's a stepped process. It takes time to build relationships. And I know Merrill will, he's heard me say this a million times. Relationships building, Relationship building is a marathon, it's not a sprint. You can't jump from zero to hero in one foul swoop. And I use another analogy, and I'm going to come to a little bit more in depth about the question, is that I always use this analogy. You want to go from the ground floor onto the top of the roof. So you get the step ladder out, and a step ladder's got these rungs, that you walk up. So when you're going up the step ladder, you're walking one rung at a time. Now try coming down the step ladder and missing three rungs and see what happens to you. You
Hmm.
come crashing down. And
Yeah.
that's what relationship building, the analogy and the comparison is don't miss the steps in relationship building. So I always lead with what can I do to help you? Tell me one thing that I can do to help you. Tell me one thing that I can help you with. And the other the other the terminology that I use on a regular basis, and please feel free, every one of you that's on this chat, that's on the session, to use it more. And that is, tell me more. Let me repeat myself. When you're talking to someone, tell me more. Now, what you're doing is you're inviting people to engage with you. And I use that regularly. Kendra, tell me more. Tell me more about this. Tell
Hmm.
me more about that. It is such an underutilized phrase, Because most people are leading with, let me tell you what I do.
Mm-hmm.
Let me tell you what I can sell you. Let me tell you how I can help you. But if you're asking somebody what it is that I can do to help you, you're swinging the conversation around. So yesterday, as I mentioned to you, I had this conversation with this event lady. So the conversation started like this. She said, how are we going to start this? I said, the way we're going to start this conversation is I want to know from you, if you can explain to me, what does your dream client look like? I want to understand, what does your dream client look like? What kind of industry is it? How big is it? I want to know as much information as possible about what your dream ideal client looks like, so I can lock it in here. And eventually I will find your dream client for you, because I'm mixing with lots of different people. That's very different to saying, let me tell you what I do in my business.
Yeah.
So that for me is a key element, is lead with, show people that you're interested in them before you tell them how interesting you are.
Yeah, and just being intentional with how you can help them, how you can serve them, and who their dream client is, in case you should ever run across their dream client. I like that.
I just wanted to stop on this point that David has raised. He said, contracts will not be signed at the trade show. Be okay with the step. Tell me more. Now that is such a critical thing, because how many times do you go somewhere and you want to sign and finalize something? What you want to be able to do, you want to be able to leave the person that's engaged with you at the trade show or wherever it might be, with wanting to know more at a later stage. That's what pre-qualification is giving them enough on the stand for them to want to meet with you afterwards, to be able to continue the conversation. That is what people don't understand, is that you don't want to give them everything so that you don't have to meet with them again. Because guess what? When they leave and all of a sudden that emotion is gone, you'll never hear from them again. Give them enough so that they know that there's another conversation to finalize.
Hmm. Yeah. Trade show tips you've been giving are just wonderful. I wonder if we could dive into a couple other topics off of the trade show, but I'm sure if people have direct trade show questions for you, they can reach out and ask later on. But how about working with such iconic brands? And then you said you work with small to medium businesses as well. What is the biggest difference you see on your side with working with promotional products between an iconic brand that everybody knows and a small business?
That is a extremely good question, and no, and there is an answer to it. So I have been very fortunate to work with a lot of these Fortune 500 companies. I work with Mastercard, Google, YouTube, LinkedIn, Canva, TikTok, Coca-Cola, Pepsi, Unilever, and what I do with them is I try and add an additional level of value to them. So the iconic companies, they're looking for reliability. They're looking for a point of contact that they can easily get hold of you, and they're looking for you to take away their pain points around delivery and logistics around the merch that they're getting. And if you
Hmm.
can concentrate on that, then you satisfy the aspect of working with Fortune 500 companies. But they're not my ideal clients, because my ideal clients, sorry, let me go one step back. So
Okay.
working with Fortune 500 companies has given me the word credibility.
Mm-hmm.
There are two things that are really important for me. One of them is competency, and the other is credibility. So working with Fortune 500 companies, if you're competent, you will become credible. Now, when you're credible, then what happens is you can then appeal to your dream clients, which in my case are small to medium-sized companies, companies that are scaling up, companies that are growing, companies that want to elevate their presence. So the difference between them is not too much other than budget. So as long as you can help companies achieve outcomes, so I call it the reverse engineer process. And that is, let's start with what do you want to achieve? So now I know the Fortune 500 companies, I know what they want to achieve. They just want to keep front of mind with their company. They're not
Mm-hmm.
looking to, to introduce new, like Mastercard. Mastercard doesn't need to do anything other than keeping front of mind. Coca-Cola, they don't need to do anything other than keeping front of mind. Why does Coca-Cola spend so much money on marketing? Because they want to be front of mind all the time. So now let's go to the small and medium-sized companies. Now what happens with them is they want to become known. Okay? Fortune 500 companies are known and they're
Right.
looking for visibility and they're looking for just keeping front of mind. Small to medium-sized companies want to become known. So the end result is, how do we help them become known? We concentrate on things like brand awareness. We have programs that say, before you think in terms of becoming this big company, let's start with a program of brand awareness. Now,
Mm-hmm.
I've got a business that has been going for maybe 13, 14 years. I emigrated from South Africa. I came to Australia, brand new country, no network, and I've built up a brand and a business in that time. How did I do it? I slowly built the building blocks for people to know what I did. Consistency, clarity, competency, and credibility. And that's what I do, is I help small to medium-sized companies become known. And as long as they're prepared to walk the process, if they think they can jump 3 steps ahead, guess what? They miss some of the key elements
Mm-hmm.
of building these genuine relationships. So
Yeah.
that's the difference. The Fortune 500 companies have already got the presence. The small to medium-sized companies want the presence. And how do you help them become known?
Mm-hmm. So, if they're trying to build that brand recognition, being on the digital marketing side and you on the promotional products, and they have a small budget and they've kind of got a split, how much can I spend on digital marketing and how much can I spend on promotional, tangible products? How do we help small businesses solve that question or do that split?
I think the answer to that is, how much budget do you have? So one of the biggest challenges that small companies have, that's why I don't work with startups, because startups don't have a budget
Right.
and they want to jump from zero to hero.
Mm,
They want to make sales straight away. So if you start a business and you don't have capital, how do you think you're going to start to get known? What do you think people are just going to like the look of you and start buying from? So the first thing is to have a budget. And that budget doesn't have to be a huge budget, but have a budget. Know that there's no company that can start today without a budget and grow their company into a well-known or a known entity. There's no way to do that. How are you going to do it? Because if you know how to do it, please share it with me, because I don't. So the answer to you, what you've just said, is start off with a budget. Start over the budget in such a way that I've got X amount of dollars. Now, what am I going to do with those X amount of dollars? I'm going to I'm going to get involved in digital marketing. I'm going to spend that percentage of visibility of my budget, and then I'm going to create some brand awareness merch. That's the starting point. Why would you start with appreciation rather than brand awareness. Because what do we want to achieve when we get going? What do we want to achieve? We want to achieve visibility. That's what we want. The more visibility we have, the better chance we've got of attracting our dream and ideal clients. So I would take a budget and I would apportion it percentage wise to a digital and physical merch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then you've been making some posts on social media. I think you make it a regular part of your routine now, where you're just showing like these really creative campaigns that aren't digital marketing. A lot of times they're like actual signs. The one that you did this week was, "Hey, people in the top offices." It was up. The picture was of the top of the bus, and they used the ad space on the top of the bus, which most people would never think to put an ad on the top of the bus. But the ad was targeting the people in the higher offices. I thought that that was such a creative way to use some ad space.
Yeah, so I want to maybe let's stop on that because there's a lesson in this for all of us,
Mhm.
and that is that what you want is you want to get your business brand message. It doesn't make a difference if you're iconic, small, wherever you are. You want to get your business message across to as many people as possible. So that
Mhm.
image was chosen to show that you don't necessarily only have to peel to the bottom of the building and the people can see over here. You can be appealing to people on the 13th floor that are looking out over the window and seeing your message. And it's the
Mhm.
same for our business. Is don't think there's one channel to get to your dream clients. There are multiple channels to get to your dream clients.
Mhm. Yeah. So I'm always in the digital marketing hole, and my thought is always on like what can we do on social media, email marketing, ads on the platforms and that kind of thing. But I think it's so important to have a more robust outlook, like you've pointed out, and know that there's so many different channels. And I love how you bring that tangible goods and make that a way that you can build brand recognition as well.
Absolutely. And I think the key element is to have a budget. And
Mm-hmm.
again, I'm repeating myself, but that's why I don't work with startups because a startup doesn't have a budget and they're expecting to grow their business. And if I might just say, I do have companies that come to me and say, we are thinking about doing this and this and this, and we have a budget to start. How can you help us? I'm all ears to talk with them. But a company that comes to me and says, you know, I've got to grow this business. I've got to grow it quickly. What can you suggest that's the cheapest way to do this?
Uh-huh.
You must have heard that many times because I've heard it multiple times.
Yeah.
I'm very hard of hearing to those people.
I can understand why. Yeah. Yeah. So having the budget, that's the place where you need to start. That completely makes sense.
Yeah,
So that would be part of pre qualifying, maybe when you are meeting people at trade shows, that kind of thing.
yeah, absolutely.
Hmm. Awesome. All right. Well, we're coming close to the top of the hour. So, this has been such a great conversation. And I think that there is probably a lot more to dive into, but we'll go ahead and wrap it up for now. And would you please tell people how they can reach out to you and where they can find you on social media if they're interested in finding out more?
Well, um, I'm a pretty active LinkedIn user. I am posting 5 to 6 times a week. I am engaging on other people's content 75% of my time that I'm on LinkedIn. So if I take 1 hour of my LinkedIn time, 25% goes to content creation and 75 goes to engaging in other people's content. I have a company page on LinkedIn, so I share branding insights, tips, stories, experience, expertise, knowledge. Um, I have a newsletter, a monthly newsletter. So if you're interested in following me on LinkedIn, you will find that I'm not a salesy person. I don't use LinkedIn as to say, here's what I sell. Here's how I approach my LinkedIn journey. And this, if anyone's interested in, in sort of applying it, you'll see it does work. My customer had this particular problem. I used these products to help them overcome this problem. This was the outcome for my customer by using these products. And if that resonates with you, we should be talking.
Mm-hmm.
So what have I actually done is I've shown the customer had a problem. I had a solution, the outcome for the company. And if that resonates with you, we should be talking. And that's where conversations start, is when people can resonate with the problem that that particular customer had.
So LinkedIn is probably the best place to follow you, it sounds like, and a non-salesy approach. I think that is a great way to go about it. I know that I also follow you on Instagram, or at least Out There Branding. Are there any other platforms that you're on?
I'm on Twitter, I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook. I'm not a big TikTok person, and the reason being is I just haven't really got to use it properly, and I think it's just the way it is. I
Yeah.
can't concentrate on everything, but I specifically my main arena for engaging and for business relationship growth is LinkedIn. The reason being is it's business to business.
Yep. That makes total sense that you would use that platform as your main avenue of connecting with other businesses. Okay, one last thing, Roy. I like to try to, when I remember, ask people to drop a truth bomb about their industry. So as we close, do you have a truth bomb or one final thought you can share with us?
I think that the biggest truth bomb, or the biggest message I can leave, is lead with giving. Lead with giving, because things come back to you when you're giving. And here's probably the single most important message relating to that. When you give, there's a good feeling you get in your heart.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get that feeling when you're taking or you're receiving. The feeling you get, that warm, fuzzy feeling you get when you give. And if you can keep that in the front of your minds, for me, that is the secret of success.
Awesome. That was a perfect way to end the show. Thank you so much, Roy, for your time today. I really appreciate it. And I know that there are a lot more comments and everything coming through the chat. So we'll be sure to try to follow up with those as we can. But I'm going to end for today. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
That's it for this week's Business Boom podcast. You've got the spark. Now go light up your business with what you have learned. If you like what you heard today, hit that subscribe button, drop us a review, or tell a fellow entrepreneur about the show. Keep pushing, keep growing, and catch us next week for more booming business strategies.